Welcome back to the channel. I'm Nicholas Snow. Today we're going to be going through a system that you can get for under $1,000. We're talking speakers, subs, amp, everything. We're going to go through it so you know what to buy and what not to buy, because it can be very difficult sometimes. So let's jump right into it. First, what we'll pull up here is this website called Metra Online. So what this website does is it allows you to put in your vehicle and it tells you the speaker size that you have in your vehicle. So for example, we did a 2012 Tahoe. And once you put in your parameters, it shows right here, right in the middle, what you need. So we can see in the front, we're talking about up in those A-pillars, kind of either by your windshield or up by your head in the front of the vehicle. A lot of vehicles have tweeters, and as we can see here, there is a 1-inch tweeter in the front. In the front doors we have 6.5s, and in the rear doors we have 6.5. So 6.5-inch speakers are the most common size you will see in most vehicles. Some vehicles have 6x9s. Some vehicles have other weird sizes, especially if you're going to an older vehicle. But again, 6.5 is the most common size you will see. So if we take this 6.5 front in the doors and 6.5 in the back and a 1-inch tweeter, when we're building this $1,000 system, we want to make sure that we're changing all the speakers out. I mean, hey, if we're spending $1,000, we definitely want to get our money's worth, and you can definitely do it for that price. So what I always like to do is start kind of in the front of the vehicle and work our way back, starting with the speakers, then line out converter, then going to amp and subs in the back. So what we'll do is switch over here. We kind of have something built up here a little bit, and we'll kind of go through each item individually, go over the prices, and show you that it is under $1,000. First, again, what we like to start with is the door speakers. Like we talked about first, there is a 1-inch tweeter in the front of the Tahoe with a 6.5. We're going to start with kind of, again, that front speaker setup. We like to look at the JL Audio. They have good quality, they handle the power, they're just good all around. They're a good quality speaker. There are cheaper speakers out there, but again, if we're spending $1,000 on the system, we want to make sure we're getting quality. First off, we're going to start with the 6.5 component set. As we can see here, it has a 6.5-inch mid driver with a 1-inch dome tweeter. So that tweeter is going to go in the A-pillar. The 6.5s are going to go in the doors. The 6.5s are going to provide that mid bass that you need. The 1-inch dome tweeter is going to provide a lot of the hi-hats, the cymbals, the vocals is what you're going to hear out of there. So we can see they're 169 for the pair. That's another thing. They are for the pair. So you get 2 mid drivers and 2 1-inch tweeters. So we can see here we got the C1 650s. That's the component set. So we'll go ahead and put the 169 in there. Next, we're going to move to the back doors. As we can see, there's still 6.5s in the rear doors, but we don't need the component set. As earlier, like we talked about, that 1-inch dome tweeter is not applicable in the back because there are no tweeters. So what they did was they actually designed a 6.5 with the tweeter in the middle. So that 6.5 now has the tweeter built into the middle for something like, again, the back doors in the Tahoe. So again, you still get the same clarity, it's just the tweeters in the middle. So we can see those are $149 for the pair. So we'll pop that in here. Next, moving on, we have the front speakers. So the 2 6.5-inch drivers with the 1-inch 1-inch tweeter. Gosh, you don't want to put a mid there. Then we'll move on to the 6.5-inch coaxial. That's that coaxial is the tweeter in the middle with the 6.5-inch mid. After that, we're going to start moving back to the back of the setup where we got the line out converter. What that line out converter allows you to do is keep that factory radio, but still have the ability for an amplifier. So this will plug in or wire into one of the rear speakers and allows you to get the RCAs out that will plug in and give the signal to your amplifier. I don't have one pulled up. They're pretty generic. You can get them for $19.99. Next, we're going to move on to the actual sub that we're going to use in the setup. So we'll go back to JL Audio. We're going to use something like a 12 dub O. Very good speaker. Again, all their speakers are focused on sound quality. Even the subs, you're going to get the most responsive sound out of them. Not, you know, a blaring sound, you know, not anything that's going to hurt your ears. Just a nice quality, overall good setup. So with this 12 Dubbo, it's $199. So what we'll come over here and do is put the $199 in. The big thing we want to look at with the subs, like we talked about in previous episodes, if you haven't checked those out, I tell you how to match up a sub and an amp together so you're running the proper, proper setup. You're not gonna overexert the sub, overpower it, just get the right setup. We also have a video talking about RMS power versus peak power, because you want to make sure you're looking at the RMS power of the sub, not the peak power, because that's how you get yourself in trouble. So we can see down here that they say 300 watts is the RMS, which, like I talked about before, you can go slightly above that if you need to, but you definitely don't want to go much over that 300 RMS. So we can see we have the 12 Dubbo in there. The best thing that we can do to pair up with that is actually a JD250, again from JL Audio. That's going to do 250 watts at 2 ohm. We can see that this is a dual 4 ohm speaker, so we actually can wire that down to 2 ohm, which is nice. So 250, we can see that's in the optimal range that they require, the power. You can put a little bit more power than 250, but JL wise, the next step up would be a 500 watt amp. We don't want to put 500 watts to it. We're gonna blow this up. We're gonna give it too much power than what it can handle, and that's just going to be a recipe for a disaster. So with that JD250, we can see that's 229, so we'll come over here, add the 229. And then we have a couple other things that we're going to need. Obviously the sub is going to need to sit in some kind of box. A Q-Bomb box is really easy to find. It has the right specs as well. The JL 12 Dubbo calls for about, I think, 1.7 cubes. And the Q-Bomb 12VL has 1.8 cubes, so it's a perfect matchup. And I think those guys go for about $95, so we'll put that in here. The final piece of the puzzle of what we need is the actual wiring. We need the power, the ground, the RCAs, all of that to actually power and turn on the amplifier and get the signal back to the amplifier. So if we go with an OFC kit, say from T-Spec, we want to make sure when we're running any JL product that we're running OFC wire. That's actually oxygen-free copper. So you're not going to see corrosion or any kind of signal loss from using OFC wire versus CCA. We definitely want to stick away from the copper-clad aluminum. I just see too many problems with it, and I want to make sure that your system is set up and ready to go no matter what you're doing. So for a 4-gauge kit, it's probably, I don't know, $74.99 would be about a good price on an OFC 4-gauge kit. So as we can see, if we're doing, under $1,000 setup, we can definitely do it with changing out the speakers, adding a sub, an amp, line out converter, and the wiring. We don't miss anything in this setup. We have everything included, and we're still under $1,000. So when somebody says you can't get a good system under $1,000, you definitely need to point them to this video and show them that you can do it, because as we can see, even using premium products like JL Audio, you can still stay under $1,000. Now, can you spend more than $1,000 and get, a better setup, more output, maybe more clarity? 100%. But again, we're not trying to spend, $10,000 on a system. We want to make sure we get clarity under that $1,000. And like we talked about, can you go over $1,000? Yes. You can also go way under $1,000, but you're not going to get the clarity. So I think this is a good happy medium of, not going too much, into the realm of $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 and, not running to Walmart and spending $500. But if you guys want to see a video where I try to put together a system that's, way over $1,000 or, at a way cheaper price point, I can definitely do that. You just need to drop it down in the comments and I'll make sure to make a video about that. But with that being said, that's a system for under $1,000 using premium JL Audio products.